Can your passion fuel your profession without burning you out? Today, we're going to be talking about the space in between, where art meets work, where chaos feeds clarity, and where purpose isn't either or, it's both. That brings me to Aarti, an artist and a marketeer who weaves soul and strategy into everything she does. I have a question that I've always been curious about when it comes to passion. Do you think our passions choose us, or do we choose them?
I think personally, my passion chose me because looking back, I mean, I've always done art. I've always been involved in the creative side. As a kid, they give you a box of crayons to do something with it. But I think even as a professional, even when I got into marketing, even at university, even at school, I used to take on a lot of hands-on projects. Like if we had to make a poster, I would create like a 3D model. Like I'd go all out. And I think it's something that I naturally incorporated into everything. So I do think that it really did choose me. But I do think that it's possible for a lot of people who discover their passions much later in life, because not everyone has the privilege of discovering what that spark is at a young age. I feel very, very, very blessed to have had that. But I think we kind of choose each other. So yeah, what do you think?
So it's inherently built in a person, is what you're saying. Certain people have it inherently built in them. For example, for me, I love to write. So for me, poetry just comes really naturally to me. It's always come very easy to me. But then dancing is also one of my passions, but I am terrible at it. And I have tried, I have really tried to dance, and it's never gotten me anywhere. So I think over there, I do understand where your passions choose you. And sometimes you can be passionate about things, but not necessarily super good at them. So you have to put in a lot of
but
work.
I think skill set is different to what you're passionate about. Like, I'm very passionate about singing alone in the car. I cannot sing to save my life. You have heard me. But it's still something I genuinely enjoy. I sound really, really bad. But I enjoy it. I think we confuse that when someone's passionate about something that they're like naturally gifted at it. I don't think that's true. I think being passionate does help you develop that resilience and that grit to keep pushing to improve, which is why typically when you see someone who is really good at something, they're passionate about it, which is what motivates them to keep going, because you need that to push you to keep improving and keep doing better. But I think it helps to have it, but I don't think it's necessary to have it. I think people thrive in any condition. And again, the reason I believe that we choose each other is because there are people who are genuinely passionate about certain things, but they just don't pursue it. They go down a different path and they're just like, yeah, I like it, I enjoy it, but But personally, I feel like if I made that decision, it would eat me up alive inside, which is kind of what started happening, because it would naturally seep into other parts of even as a corporate marketeer for all these years, even at university, I went to business school. Yeah, contrary to what we like to believe about ourselves, but it's not really a creative field at all, especially when you compare it to the arts and, just so many other fields. But I think overall, I'd say it's an overlap, if that makes sense.
Okay, it's an overlap of you choosing your passion and your passion choosing you as well. That's very nice. You were talking about resilience. So I do know that there's a piece that you've done recently that you presented at Dubai World Art Dubai.
Yeah.
My bad. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that piece, because I know that it was a really nice story.
Oh yeah, that was a very, very transformational piece. That was actually a very personal piece. It was the first time that I exhibited one of my own pieces publicly, because I've been a professional artist for many years now, but I've only ever done brand collaborations. So it was very strictly following the brief and what the client wanted, because it was always tied to a campaign or guidelines, etc. But this one was purely my soul just going all over the canvas, and it was inspired by the Gladiator Summit that I attended in 2024, end of 2024. And over the 2 days, there were lots of discussions about staying true to your values and resilience and grit and pushing against all odds. And it was a lot about business entrepreneurs, but mainly personal development and being honest with yourself, and just the struggles that we face as individuals, as every role that we take on, as mothers, sisters, employees, friends, etc. And that really sparked something in me, and I feel like it was a very transformational event in a time period. And as an artist, the best way I knew how to express that was through the painting. And I drew parallel with the sea holly flower, which I'm not even going to attempt to give you the scientific name, but it's referred to as a sea holly. And after I found it, because it's an exotic flower that thrives in any condition, and after I found it, my mom told me that this is something that grows all over our hometown, like back in Iran, and I had no idea because I've never lived there. And fun fact, actually, recently when I visited, they were everywhere.
Oh
and,
my gosh.
and yeah, and there were so many different forms. There was like pink and yellow, and I was like, this is beautiful. Like, it really is all over. And they all have the same characteristics. They look really soft and delicate, but they're really sharp. I actually like tore one of my trousers just walking past one of them. And they thrive in any condition. She was like, yeah, they're here like all year round. And to me, that is what it was, because even though the nature of a flower is like of any plant is very fleeting, it's like it goes with the seasons, it shows so much like transformation, but at the core of it, this is one that, despite looking very delicate and soft, it's actually very tough and sharp, and it means business. So I feel like, yeah, that's what I wanted to portray. And there are different elements to the painting as well, like with the frozen ice cube and the vibrance of the colors, but yeah.
I think that's so beautiful.
Thank
That's
you.
honestly something that's like really, really impactful, because it just shows us, and it's so amazing that you've even like derived it from your culture, because
Yeah.
it grows in Iran.
But it happened accidentally. Like, I had no idea, because I just found the flower, and it was really difficult to find it here as well, because it was like some random exotic thing. But then after I took it home, my mom was like, where did you get that? And I was like, oh, like I got it for the painting. She was like, this is the same one. And it was crazy, because I was like, wow, like full circle, it was meant to be. Like,
Yeah. It's like you can look so fragile, and and people will be like, oh no, like this person can't do it, but there's so much like within, there's a lot of inner strength that people don't
Yes.
sometimes fail to see as professionals, and even in personal lives as well.
And I think the most important thing is that, for me personally, that is a nod to staying true to your values, because it's so easy to be put in circumstances where you have to compromise them. And that is one thing that really resonated with me with the flower, is like, I'm a flower, but like I'm gonna stick to my values and my core principles, and that's what it is, which is why one of the blooms is frozen in ice, because it shows that despite circumstances, it will remain true to itself and its nature. And I think that's something like, we lose a lot, especially, as I said, like in the roles we take on. Like, it's so easy to get lost in that, or like to compromise on certain things just because, like, out of fear, or just so many different things that go into it. And I think it's important to just stick to those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. So, have you ever felt during, like, when you worked, have you ever felt like your creative side and your strategic side overlap? Because you're a full stack marketer and an artist as well. So you have a super creative side. And side note, I've actually worked with ATI. So she does marketing. It was fun. So the side note is basically that Aati does not like your typical social media marketing. She can do that as well. But she does like your back end, your strategy, your managing your advertisements,
Everything, pretty
analyzing your
much.
data. Actually, it's very finance based.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but there's a lot of analysis that goes into what
Yeah.
she does. So how do you like find the balance between those two? And do you ever feel like sometimes they overlap with each other?
I think always.
Okay.
Again, like, I think it happens naturally, because I'm very analytical, but at the same time, I think the main common thing between them is storytelling, because I feel like when I look at data, it's a storyline. When I'm trying to run a campaign, or like branding or positioning, it's all about psychology and storytelling and that flow. And it's the same with art, because at the end of the day, you're telling a story visually. And I think combining the two just sort of comes naturally, because it's like the same thing but just through different mediums. Yeah, I think same for you though.
Yeah,
as
and
a
that's exactly what I was
and
thinking as well.
poetry, yeah.
Because for me, it's like when it comes to poetry and then finance, and I was like, okay, how can I be like super creative at like writing stuff out? And then like suddenly I'm just like sitting and crunching numbers at work. Until like one day, one of my ex bosses actually told me that your reports are basically a story. You're presenting a story to the management, and that's when I was like, oh wow, this is like really nice because I tap into my storytelling side through numbers, which I also am passionate about. So it's just like multiple passions coming
that's
together.
the thing though. I've noticed like a lot of times the conflict is that, oh, we're one thing or the other. I've noticed, I know someone who is senior head of procurement somewhere, and she loves fashion, she loves design, and it's like you work a very serious corporate, like you're in board meetings, and then at the same time like you're doodling like skirts and like tops, and it's like that is how it is. Like me, you, there are so many of us, and I think the thing that a lot of people like scares us off, myself included initially, is that we feel like we need to be compartmentalized into like specific boxes, but the truth is that we're very, like, as human beings, we're very simple, but we're also complex and layered at the same time. I think the trick is to just embrace it and just go for it. Like there's no shame in like being this or that. Like one of my mom's friends, she was a lawyer, she's a very successful lawyer for like many years, and she just up and like closed her practice to start a beauty salon. And she was like, it's just something I've always wanted to do, and like, why not? So it's like, it's never too late. Like, just go for it. If you feel like it's right for you to do it at the same time, embracing both sides is the key. And if you want to full-time pursue that or even combine them, I was listening to Stephen Bartlett once, and he's mentioned this on many occasions actually. He talked about how the trick is to find complementary skill sets and combine them, things that you wouldn't normally put together, and then to work, like build off of that. And that's so powerful, because if you look at like most successful people, they do that. But I feel like those of us who have that naturally, we feel torn. We're like, oh my god, why am I like torn between this and that? But the truth is, like, we're lucky. We should embrace that we have both of them. And
I think it's also very common for people to just compartmentalize themselves, like you said, and put themselves into boxes. For me, especially speaking like from a cultural standpoint as well, we are very like, we're like, okay, this is what you're gonna do when you this is the career, you become a doctor or an engineer, and then you get married at this age, you have kids at this age, and it's just like, it's like your whole life is laid out for you and boxed out and compartmentalized for you by other people. It's like you are kind of groomed to compartmentalize yourself.
But that's the
if
thing,
that makes sense.
like generations before us have been the same way. Like, again, like I truly resonate with this, like culturally as well, like even just where we are, that's just how it is. But that's just how our parents were, and our grandparents were, and our great grandparents were. It's like, this is your path, you go for it, and again, it comes from a place of them wanting to keep us safe and stable, which is why they suggest jobs that are like very like stable. Like, I remember I really wanted to pursue arts, and my mom was very much against it, which is why, like, anything creative, like interior design, architecture, absolutely anything. Like, I met this guy actually, and when I mentioned I'm an artist, he was like, oh, I also paint sometimes, but like it's not my career. I was like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a dentist. And I was like, why? He's like, think about it, when you're carving a tooth, it's kind of like a sculpture. So it was like, it's the closest thing to like art. And I was like, it's insane that because of the limitations that are imposed like on us by our culture and our family, we find any way to stick to that. Like, it's like I'm staying true to myself, but I'm like at the same time fulfilling those. And it's insane. Like, that's just how it is. Hopefully our kids will live differently, but
yeah, I think that's insane. But so when it comes to art, like, this is just something that it's for like every creative that I'd like to know. Like, do you find yourself doing your best work when there's calm, or do you find yourself doing your best work when there's chaos? Where do you find like that you're at your best? You're like, yes, like I'm fully feeling what I'm feeling and I'm doing it.
So I absolutely thrive in chaos, but at this, I mean, this, but at the same time, I do find that my best visual ideas come to me during like meditation, or like when I'm in an alpha state, or times like that where I feel like I can truly visualize certain things or like draw on that inspiration. But I do think that I think every creative can relate to this. You too. Like sometimes you're just sitting there like minding your own business, or sometimes you're in like a very important meeting and something comes to you and you're like this connection, that, like, you know, you feel that urge to like create. And I think I don't believe in randomness, but sometimes it may feel that way, but I think there's an underlying factor. So I would say both calm and chaos, but I don't experience calm very often. So I'd say mostly chaos.
Okay.
How about you though?
For me, I think it's mostly in chaos.
Yeah.
I find myself doing my best work when I'm sad or like heartbroken. I think that's my like main theme. Okay, I have to cut this out.
I mean, no, that's good. keep it. It's good.
Bro,
it's good.
because people will start looking at my Instagram and they'll be like, it's true.
No, but really, keep it. Truly.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I find myself doing my best work when I'm actually not in the best state of mind. But that's because I'm really tapping into that emotion that I'm feeling, you know. Even if I'm feeling really elated, yes, I have written like poetry when I'm super happy, but then I feel like there are times where I'm actually like probably sitting and crying, and I'll just like take out my phone and then I'll start writing, and it's like I don't know where the words are coming from, and it's just like flowing, and then suddenly I end and I'm like, I feel like a sense of relief.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Because it's expression. It
Yeah.
truly is expression. Like, I can't tell you, the most therapeutic thing on earth for me is picking up that paintbrush.
Yeah.
Like, no feeling on earth compares. Truly, it's like the closest thing to magic, I would say.
Yeah, it is, because it does make you feel a certain way inside, and you're like, it heals you.
Your soul
it's
is
you
like
healing
speaking.
yourself.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like you're talking to your own self to heal yourself, if that makes sense. It's like you're writing the words out, and then
To any non-creatives like listening to this, like, it's gonna be a very strange episode.
I think as creators, we always have, as creatives actually, we always have moments where we don't feel very confident about our work. Where we're like, do I really want to put this out there? Do I want people to see this? So have there been moments where you have experienced that, and how have you maneuvered through that, found your way to be like, you know, hey, I want to put this out there. I want to express myself in a way that people understand through my art.
I think again, this is not in any way related to like the brand collaborations that follow the brief, because that's once the client's happy, your job's done. But with painting as a whole, there's a quote I read once. It might have been a caption, I'm not sure, but it really it stuck with me. It was like, no painting is ever truly complete. It's only when the artist decides to stop. And if you think about it, you can always build on it, always add, always do something to it, which I feel like a lot of artists do. Like, we abandon a piece and then we come back to it and then you add to it. It's a feeling, because it's an expression. If I feel like I have expressed what I needed to express, it may look incomplete to you, but if I feel like it's done, my work is done. Like, this is it. This is what I want to put out there. But the other thing that I absolutely love about art and painting, which I really get confused a lot of times when people are like, oh, I wish I could paint, I can't. I'm like, yeah, you can, because it's so subjective. Like, it's the soul behind it. It's not necessarily the technique of like, you know, I want to get this shading or etc. Like, I think as long as it says what you needed to say, that's all there is to it. There is no perfection to be chasing, or even like the confidence that you spoke about, it comes from within. Like, there are so many people that have a lot to say about performance art, especially those that may seem strange to people outside of the community. It's like, but that's a line. Like, how is that art? But it is. Or like, oh, that canvas is painted in like one solid color. Like, or my favorite thing that people love to say is that, oh, my 5-year-old niece could do that. Like, that's such a, like, come on, we've all heard that. Like, even at World Art Divide, when I was going, like, there were people walking by, I was like, my 10-year-old could do this. And it's like, you're missing the point though.
Yeah.
It's not about the skill or the technique, it's about what it's saying. And every artist truly pours their soul into their art. And I think it's the same with your poetry. Like, not all sentences have to make sense together. It's like haikus. Like, and initially when I first learned what that was, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just a
Yeah.
random, like, you're trying to fill in, like, the guidelines. But no, it does. Like, it truly is a part of the storyteller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I think I've also experienced that when I don't fully get art. I get it when it comes to like poetry, but when I went to World Art Dubai, there was this one canvas that was just entirely yellow, I think, and it just had a word believe in it. And I was wondering, I was like, okay, and that's insane. It was probably like selling for a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
But then as I thought about it, I'm like, maybe that word means something so much to that artist, and that color, there's something that they have and a story behind it. And there are times where even in our personal lives, one word can actually like just change the trajectory of things. Like a person would come, say something to us, and that one word that they say would actually like change a lot of things. I've
Yeah.
experienced it, like, at church, or I've experienced it outside professionally, where people just say things and I'm like, okay, wow, like that wouldn't have had
That
an
really
impact on another
resonates,
person, but
yeah.
on me, with me, it really resonates.
But that's the thing, it's about the connection. So it really truly is about the connection and how that piece resonates with you. Because it can be the most beautiful thing technique wise, but if it doesn't, like, if you don't connect with it,
Yeah.
then
Soul.
yeah,
You need
it
soul.
it really is food for the soul. Like, it's how our souls communicate. That's the beauty of art, which is so important in a world that's slowly shifting more towards, like, homogeneity with AI and everything else, which I'm all for, by the way. But at the same time, we need that spark that keeps us human.
The human touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like nothing is more human than art in any shape or form. And it's been there, like cave paintings and, like, just spoken word poetry. Like, it's always been there, like,
yeah.
since we've been there.
I feel like art has just always been there, like, and it just doesn't start with us.
But it
started
evolves.
with, like, even with God, like the creator, like
Yeah.
making the universe, the whole earth in such a like precise way.
Yeah.
It's so perfect
The
yet so imperfect
design
at the
is
same
so,
time.
like,
It's
yeah,
like you might look at
intentional.
one thing and you're like, okay, this doesn't look okay, but then when you look at the whole picture together, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
wow, this is so beautiful. And it's like that's where you're drawing your inspiration from. So like even the start of this
Is
entire universe
creation.
was
Yeah.
by a really creative God. So yeah, that's
And we're fragments of that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, we are, which is why, like, it really deeply resonates with your soul. So creating in any shape or form, I feel like it just keeps evolving. Like, we went up a bit, it's there in our architecture, even in our like everyday makeup, our fashion, the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak, it's everywhere, it's all around us. And it's just embracing that and, like, recognizing it, like, in the little things is where your soul gets happy.
So I think that was such a beautiful analogy. I think it's really powerful to think about how art impacts us and how art is there in every part of our life. So your Instagram name is The Crying Canvas. How did that come about? It's a very interesting name.
So we're gonna ignore the origins of it, but a lot of times, like, when I give people my business card or get on my website, and they're like, "Why is it called The Crying Canvas?" And we're like, "Oh, why is it so, like, are you okay? Like, it's negative." And a lot of times, I think that speaks more about their state than the objective reality of it, because the truth is, we activate over 40 muscles when we cry, and it only comes out during the most intense feelings and emotions. Crying out of joy, out of fear, out of anger, out of sadness. Like, your emotions need to reach a certain level of intensity for it to elicit tears and crying. And that's what I want to do. That's the point of my journey as a marketeer, as a campaign director, as an artist. It's part of the storytelling. I want to invoke that emotion and that personalized touch. Like, I don't necessarily want to make people cry with the intensity that they feel, but the point is that it's meant to trigger something in you. And I think that's a very intentional way of putting it. And also, it wasn't taken, so.
Oh no, that's so beautiful. Thank you, Aati, for coming on the show with us.
you for
Thank you,
having
everybody.
me.
Sorry,
No, it's
I
fine,
cut
it's
you off.
fine. No, I just said thank you for having me.
Okay, wait. I will give you the space to say that.
don't pause intentionally. It's like you're expecting a response and it feels weird.
Thank you, Aati, for coming on the show with us.
Thank you for having me.
Whoa, that was too much. Okay. So you guys are still here. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to Everything is Possible on Instagram, YouTube, and share this with your friends and family. See you guys soon.